Good morning and happy Tuesday to you. I hope that you are doing well this morning. I wanted to come in to share a few things today. And one is that, we all have things that we want to do, things that we want to accomplish. And I know earlier this year, I shared with you all that I had written some books. One book I actually wrote in one day, and I was very excited about that, being able to do that. But prior to writing that one book in one day, I had already wrote a book. And so yesterday, I received the draft copy of the interior of one of my books. And I was so excited because actually I'm a little overdue. If you watch my vlogs with any consistency, I did say that I was going to have this book out before midsummer. But hey, that did not happen because it just did not happen because I did not do everything that I needed to do to make sure that I was pushing that I was pushing myself, that I was positioning myself to make that happen. But now it's happening. And so when I saw the interior of the book on yesterday, it just really ignited me, and I'm so happy that that project is underway and that it is now from, a thought, and it's about to turn into something tangible. And so I am going to share more information with you about that once the book becomes available. So pray for me, okay? So my thought this morning is on consciousness. And so before I came in, I was thinking about consciousness and how important it is for us to be aware of things that we need to be doing and how we have to position ourselves to make sure that we are doing exactly what we need to do to make those things happen. I don't know what your thing is, but my thing is being consistent, coming on with the vlogs, writing the books, writing the blogs, and speaking, doing all of the things that I have been called to do, right? So I have to be conscious of those things, and I have to be vigilant. I have to be consistent. I have to be determined. And so I thought about consciousness and how it relates to our natural body. Now, what happens when we are unconscious is that there's a lack of blood flow to our brain. And so we need the blood to be flowing through our, to our brain so that we can be fully active, right? But then sometimes oxygen gets cut off and the blood flow, it ceases, and then there's like no connectivity happening in our brain. There's fragmentation. It's kind of like a loss of awareness. And so I thought about how, I'm not going to go too deep into that, but you guys know what it means. But whenever we go out and we are exercising, how our heart rate gets up and that blood is pumping to our brain, and we are sharp, we are focused, we are alert, we are attentive. And so we need to make sure that, one, we are exercising for our natural body, but we're also exercising and doing the things that we need to do in order to produce. And so some symptoms of like when your blood is not flowing at the level that it should flow at, or at the speed that it should be flowing at, is that there's some sluggishness, there's some tiredness. You might be drifting off to sleep. And so I want to invite you this morning to wake up and to think about what it is that is before you that needs to be done. Don't lose consciousness of your goals. You have to stay focused, right? So many times things come to hinder us and to distract us, but we have to be consistent. We got to be consistently moving and not pausing too long, because my pause caused a delay in the production of my book, of the first book. And I actually have 8 books. And so I have to get that first baby out, get that first book out so that all the other books can come through. What is it that you need to finally do so that everything else can come through. Sometimes it takes stepping out on faith, believing enough in yourself, and building yourself up to a point where you're not going to stop until you see something tangible in your hand. So what are we waiting on? And so I'm not just saying that, oh, it's about you, but it's also about me, because I come on and I talk about things and I try to push you all to do things, and I have to be a partaker of what I am saying to you. And so I think it's very important to be transparent. And so I cannot continue to lag in, getting my books out, because you guys want to read my books, right? You want to read my books, and I want to read your books. I want to read the things, I want to see the things that you have been called to do. Good morning, everybody. And so sometimes I need a push too, right? And I do have people in my life who will push me, and so I bless God for them. But it really did something to me yesterday to see that book coming into form so that it can be birthed out. And so when we talk about things in the spirit, for those who are spiritual, we want to push out our vision. We want to push out our books. We want to push out our businesses. And then for those who may not be so spiritual, there is something that you are supposed to be doing, and it's time for you to do it. You want to have something in hand. You want to say, well, I accomplished this thing. You have things that you are supposed to share with other people. And so what's the holdup? I know a lot of people right now who are supposed to be in business, and they're just kind of chilling. And now is a time that we stop chilling, that we become awakened to what it is that we are supposed to be doing. We have to be like the ant, and I talked about the ant a couple of weeks ago, but we have to be consistent. We have to prepare ourselves to do the things that we need to do. So don't lose consciousness. Don't become asleep. Don't fall asleep on your task. Yesterday, I had an opportunity to pencil myself in, because every day we give ourselves over to so many other things, right? And life is happening all around us, and we're going to work, and we're doing those things at work. We're going to school. We're being parents. We might be homemakers or whatever. But you have to still take time for yourself. And I came out with some really great ideas for things to do to advance my life's mission, so that I could position myself to do all of the things that I need to do. And so we have to be fully aware of that. And so one thing that I'm thinking about is my cousin sharing over the weekend during the conference that her mother used to always ask her and her siblings who they were. And so what was happening is there's like this unraveling that's taking place. You are having to think about, who are you? Who are you? That's my question to you today. Who are you? And what do you stand for? And what is it that you're supposed to be contributing to the world? How do you make the people around you better? Are you positioning yourself to do that? Don't lose consciousness of your goal. Don't find yourself in a stupor where you cannot answer who you are. If I ask you what your passion in life is, what is your purpose for this life, you should be able to deliver an answer. You should not be silent. You should not be unconscious when I ask you this question. You should not fall asleep when I ask you this question, because you live with yourself. You know the things that interest you. Excuse me, you know the things that drive you. You know the things that motivate you. And if you are a person and you're not feeling motivated, then you might need to find some sources for your motivation. And so I was thinking about how, people get on their various platforms and they are speaking words. They are speaking life. And so if we really allow the words that we hear to cause us to move, then we will see a lot of things transpiring in our lives for the better. If we become fully dedicated to what we have been called to do in life, and we make up in our mind that I am going to do this no matter what comes my way, no matter who tries to come and push me off course, I am going to stay the course. And even if you fall off course or go off course, you can find your way back, because you have already established some goals in place, and they are like rocks along the pathway, and you will recognize those solid decisions that you have made, and those will be the things that help you get back on course, because you may be over here and you're like, oh, well, I don't see those rocks that I place here, those goals that I have stated out of my mouth, those things that I have committed to do on paper, the vision that I see for my life is not over here. So let me just navigate myself back over here and get myself back on task. And sometimes we fall off task, but it's not too late to get back up and to do. Some people may have had a dream or an aspiration to do something 10 years ago. And if it's your heart's desire to still do those things, God will make a way for you when you commit yourself to him, when you ask him to help you. Okay? So don't lose consciousness of your goal. And so I am just very much in awe of things that have transpired over the last few days, right? And so last night I did share a video of my friend Whitney, and she talked about the impact of this last conference upon her life. And I feel so very blessed that she was able to come and talk about that and to share the goodness of God, but how it's so important when he has asked us to do something, when he's called us to do something, that we execute that fully, that we are alert, that we do things the way that he says that we should do them, because there are people who need to benefit from your obedience, right? There are people who are waiting, and they may not be right there in your face, but there are people who are waiting for you to do and to be and to become what God has ordained for you to become. Okay? And so don't let any grass grow up under your feet. Don't lay around in unconsciousness. Don't do it. Because at the end of my life, I want to be like, oh, well, I did do that. I don't want to have any regrets. I don't want to say, oh, I shoulda, woulda, coulda, when we have the opportunity now. So the thing about exercising is that when you go out and you're exercising, right, you could be walking at a fast pace, walking at a normal pace, but you are going to notice something very different in your body. You're going to feel that blood flowing. Your lungs are going to open, right? And our lungs are designed to open, and we're able to breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. And so the more oxygen that goes to your brain, the more alert you are. And so you need that oxygen. You need to get up and get out and do something. That could be exercising. It could be something towards your goals. So you got to do that. And so what are you doing? Are you just laying there? Are you just complacent? Are you comfortable where you are? You cannot be that way. And so sometimes what I see in the spirit is that people are aware of what they're supposed to be doing, but it's kind of like they're in a ditch, right? And I'm from the country, so we have a lot of ditches in the country. So it's kind of like your car goes in the ditch, right? Just say that you're the car. And so you keep rocking back and forth trying to get out of the ditch. And so some of us know what we're supposed to be doing, but we just keep rocking back and forth. But you got to put some gas, you got to put your foot on the gas in order to get up out of that ditch. And what you find is the ditch is not as deep as you thought it was. But for some reason, because we weren't fully attentive, we felt like the ditch was overpowering us, or that place of sunkenness that you are in, you feel like it's overpowering you. But what it's going to take is you exerting a little bit more energy, being a little bit more determined to get up out of that place. And so that's what we have to do. It's just like me. I love to sleep in, but now I'm a morning person. My eyes, they pop open very early in the morning, right? I can choose to lay there. And if I lay there, please know that my body is going to take advantage of that, and it's probably going to go back to sleep. But when I get up, I'm up. Okay, there's no holding me back. You know, I know that there are things I got to do, so I'm going to get up and I'm going to do them. So you always have a choice in the matter. And so I say, don't just talk about it, be about it. You got to put legs to the vision. You got to put some effort and some energy and some time into accomplishing what you want to accomplish. Don't just keep talking about it. Even me. Okay, don't keep talking about it. Do it. Okay, and so yesterday as I'm sitting and I'm planning, I have my journal and I'm writing and I'm listening to the music, and I'm in this place that it's like the creative energy is flowing, you know, and I tapping into God. I'm like, okay, Lord, you know, help me. What do you want me to do? And so I leave with 3 pages of information, 3 pages of ideas and how to accomplish them. And so I want to know, do you have a problem pulling yourself away from everything else so that you can plan? And if you do, you got to change that. Okay, because from week to week and day to day, we don't want to be doing the same thing. I don't want to be in the same place today as I was yesterday, even though yesterday was a good place, but today is now, and I have a whole full day to do something more, to do something greater. And so I'm going to position myself to do that. And so for those people who they're finding themselves stuck because you feel like mentally or emotionally, you may have some stuff going on, these things that happened in the past, but they're still impacting you. You have to muster up the strength within yourself to pull yourself out of that or call for help. Because sometimes we need help. We need people to come and help us get out of the rut, whether that is physical, mental, or emotional. Now, let's go back to the ditch. If I am a car and I'm in the ditch, or I'm in the car and the car is in the ditch, and I just can't get my way out, I'm going to call for my cousins. I'm going to call for my uncles or somebody to help me, because I realize that I got places to go. And so I don't have time to be rocking back and forth in this situation. And so I believe that even as we are conscious and we become aware of what God has called us to do and just what we know we're supposed to do, if there are things that are impeding our progress, we need to call for help. If we feel like we don't have the strength to get ourselves out of that situation, we need to call for help. And don't be prideful. Don't be so prideful that you can't ask for the help that you need. Okay, because somebody is going to come and help you. Okay, and so open your mouth and say what you need. Don't suffer in silence. And so I remember this summer, one of my friends, she shared this song with me, and the song said, and I don't own the rights to the song, but your destiny is too important to give up for just anything. And so you got to see that, that you have a God-given destiny. Our destinies may be unique. They may be similar in some ways. They may overlap in some ways. But it is too important to give up for just anything. And that means depression. It means sadness. It means anxiety. It means fear of failure, fear of people. We got to get to the point where we're not worried about people. Okay? We're not worried about what people are going to say about us. You got to get up and do it. I'm quirky, and I'm perfectly fine with that. If you got a problem with that, oh well, that's on you. But I have to be who I'm going to be. I have to do things uniquely as God has assigned for me to do them. It may work for you. It may not work for you. Okay? But when it comes down to it, this is the flavor that he's assigned to me. So what flavor has he assigned to you? What way has he asked you to come and deliver something? Right? And so don't lose consciousness of your own life. And sometimes we do that when we're looking at other people's lives because we want a pattern. We want our lives to be patterned or to be executed the way their life is executed. But that's not what God has for you. I remember times when I wanted to be other people, even when I was younger. My cousins and I, we used to watch Soul Train, right? And you know how they had the Soul Train line and those girls would be coming and their hair would be all down past their knees. I'd be like, oh, that's me. That's me. That's me. That's me. Or driving along, we're traveling and we would see cars and we'd be like, oh, that's my car. That's my car. But what does God have for you? Uniquely for you. When you look in the mirror, you don't want to be perpetrating a fraud. You want to see yourself. You want to embrace who you are. You want to love yourself. And I'm sure that, I've gone through a transition of my own. I've gone through a transition of being fully confident. Lacking some confidence. But then as I grew in Christ and I grew in awareness of myself, my confidence is very different. It's a godly confidence. It's a full embracing of myself and not comparing myself to other people. It's really hard trying to be somebody else. It's like you wearing a 2-ton mask. That is work. And so it's just easier to be yourself. Okay? So be you. Don't be nobody else. Be you and be true. That makes life a lot easier. Okay? And so when I come home in the evening, I'm dealing with myself. Not the fact that I was trying to be somebody else. I'm conscious of who I am. I'm conscious of who I'm supposed to be. And so that's what we have to do. Be conscious of ourselves. And so even as we become conscious of ourselves, we have strengths and we have weaknesses. And those weaknesses do not have to continue to be weaknesses because we have every opportunity in the world right now, 24 hours in a day, to improve ourselves. Some people will say, oh, I can't speak well, I can't do this. I can't do a cartwheel. I can't drive a car. I can't write a book. I can't build a business. But I work in an organization where if there's anything that you want to learn about life, you can come in there and learn it. And these resources are free for you. Anything that you want to do, you can do it. Even if it's getting on Facebook Live, you can do it. At first, I was afraid. The very first vlog, I had on shades because I needed to hide behind something. But then the more I did it, the greater liberation came. The more my confidence was built. The more I became in tune with what I felt to say, and even to say it freely. And even today, I'm going to another level on that because I feel like I need to be transparent with you all, because you need to know that I feel you. I've been where some of you are. I understand. I'm human. I've had hard times. I've had times where, hey, I'm like, I'm not doing nothing. But I have a purpose in life. There are things that I'm passionate about. And if I don't do them, they're not going to get done. So I have to be conscious and aware. Conscious and aware, they're the same thing. Yeah, I have to be conscious and aware of what I'm supposed to do. And not sell myself short, not sell my life short, or not, miss the opportunity to be a role model for my children, or a good mentor to those that I mentor, or a good coach to those that I coach, or a good leader to those who choose to follow me. Okay? Or, yeah, even those that I choose to follow, I want them to see that I really get what you're saying. Okay? So I would be remiss, I would be doing myself a disservice and an injustice if I don't embrace myself totally and absolutely and freely. And so I'm not going to let anybody hold me back from doing what God has called me to be. I'm not even going to hold myself back. And if I get to a point where I'm like, oh, I can't do this, then I'm going to have a talk with myself. Okay? And sometimes we need to do that. We need to look in the mirror and be like, look, self, you need to get it together. You need to wake up. You need to get conscious. You need to get moving so that blood, that excitement, that passion, that fire towards what I'm called to do can start to flow. And I ask God to consume anything around me that's going to hinder me. And I ask Him to consume anything within me that's going to hinder me, because I didn't always do it right. And I haven't fully arrived yet. So I recognize my shortcomings. I recognize that there's still a need to grow, and I'm positioning myself to do that. God is a forgiving God, and I bless God for that. And so don't think that because you did something or whatever that He won't forgive you, that He won't allow you to move forward and progress beyond that place. And so I want to encourage you not to be stuck in a place of unforgiveness of yourself. I encourage you not to be stuck because you have spoken some doubtful words to yourself in the dark. I encourage you not to be stuck because you recognize that you may need your confidence elevated a little bit. And sometimes we do, because we're always moving. We move a lot of times by what we see, and we become intimidated by what we see. But I'm a below the surface person. I can see you looking really nice, but it's really about what's in your heart. What are your motivations? Because I used to wear some awesome clothes. I'm going to tell you that right now. Top label, everything, right? But I was broken on the inside. You couldn't see that. If you weren't looking in a spiritual way, you couldn't even see that. You just saw what I had on. You were like, oh, she looked good. But I'm tore up on the inside. And so a lot of times people like to live this facade of this life of superficiality when they're broken. And I say, get right on the inside. Allow God to go in and reorder and remove things that don't belong, things that are hindering your progress, things that try to cut off your blood flow, things that try to cut off your oxygen, those bad things that have happened that we internalize sometimes. And so those are the things that we want God to remove from our lives so that we can function fully. It's not about what you wear. It's not about your house. It's not about your car. It's not about the money that you have in the bank. It's about the internal person. And so we see people all the time who have a lot of money, but then they're not happy. And then the world knows that, oh, well, they had a whole bunch of money. But if your inside ain't right, if your inner man ain't strong, if you carrying all these heavy weights or bondages, that money means nothing. So anyway, be conscious. Be alert, be aware. Be you. Be true to yourself. Ask God to help you deal with your issues. If you need help, call for help. Don't be prideful. Okay? So, that's all I have to say. And I'm going to go. And I know that was long. I don't even want to look at the time. But I pray that you have a fantastic day. If you did not get an opportunity to see Whitney's video on my page last night, please check that out. I do have an event coming up in December 9th to be exact. And this event, I'm very excited about it because it's all about the spiritual gifts. Don't you know that God has given you spiritual gifts and he wants you to know what they are and he wants them to be activated and in full operation of your life. And so that's what it's about. And it's a good spiritual investment. So if you all about investing in yourself spiritually, check it out. It's on my Facebook page. Okay, if you have any questions, feel free to inbox me or somebody on my team. They will be more than happy to answer your question. Know that I love you. I hope that you have a fantastic day, that you grow a little taller, that you become a little wiser, and that you love yourself for who you are uniquely, and that you unleash your passion and your fire and the purpose for your life in Jesus' name. I'll talk with you soon. Bye, y'all. Good morning, y'all.